Hello Flosstube. Good morning, my good morning as I'm filming this. Welcome to my Flosstube channel. My name is Margaret. This is Maggie Lou Stitches and this is my channel where I talk about everything cross stitch and some other creative endeavours, Zentangle, books, listening to books, audiobooks. And we have a bit of a new segment today. Well, it won't come until the end, but it's about photography. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But mostly just thank you for being here. I have many regular watchers who come and sit with me while I show you my creativity, and I appreciate that so much. And I notice I've got some new subscribers, so hello, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. Here being Perth, Australia, and here being my Monday morning. I never film on a Monday morning. In fact, I was telling my husband this morning that today is a bit of a milestone in Flosstube recording for me, and he said, "Oh, what number episode is it? What?" And I said, no, it's the first time I'm willing to record while there are people in the house. And I've been doing this for over a year, but it's always like, are you guys going to be out? Everybody's out. I'm doing a Flosstube. And I've been trying to do that for the last couple of weeks, and it just never happens. And finally today I just went, I want to do it. And it's raining and they're not going anywhere. So I just went, right, it's happening. If anybody walks into this room, they have been made aware that they must appear on Flosstube. They have to have a cameo appearance. I think that'll keep them out. Anyway, I have lots of progress on my projects to talk to you about, and I'm going to start with finishes today because I do have a finish. Well, I've got a couple of finishes. One is cross stitch, one is Zentangle, and then we'll go into my works in progress, my whips. So let's start with my finish. This is my finished Biscornu. This is my first ever Biscornu, and I really enjoyed the stitching of it. 2 squares of beautiful stitching. I did lots of beads. Do I have to do this for the beads to come through? Yeah. And this is a beautiful heart-shaped bead in the middle. However, I wasn't very smart. I purchased it, but the hole for it is at the top. So when I sew that in, it's an upside down heart, and that wasn't good. And I was getting really frustrated by the end of stitching this. Fully finishing sewing is not my favorite thing to do, and I'll tell you why actually, because when I stuffed this, so I'm whip stitching this inner seam to close it all up, and I've got 2 of them left open and I'm stuffing it, and then to close it, sort of this pinching motion to pinch them closed to do the whip stitching. I find whenever I have to stitch where a hand has to grip, clasp, that starts to ache quite quickly and cramp. And so finishing this was this constant process of like squeezing it together. And whereas when I'm cross stitching, it's all held in a hoop. And so my hands are just doing this, and I love that. So when it came to fully finishing this, I became aware of that. Anyway, so in the end, I tried sewing this little heart shape on, but in the end, I've got like 1 decorative pin. So I just went, oh, for goodness sakes. And I just pinned it in there. So it's loose, but never mind. And yes, actually sewing the buttons on in between I found annoying, but isn't it pretty? So that's my Biscornu, made with Cottage Garden Threads in the colour Harriet, and made with little antique beads, Mill Hill antique beads. So yay, that looks really pretty now, sitting in my stitchy spot, and I'm very happy I've done that. And never say never. I say I won't do this. I like it. As I was finishing it, I was like, and this is my last Biscornu. I don't need any more of these. And I mean, I don't, but never say never. I'll probably see a really pretty one in a couple of days and go like, well, I know how to do those now. Anyway, that is my finish since last we saw each other, and I'm very happy with it. Thank you, thank you. I can hear the applause. Thank you. Next I'm actually going to go on to a Zentangle finish because I have a finish in Zentangle and it's a very interesting one to me. I'll show it to you first. Because I haven't done this in stages. Normally I'd be showing you where I'm up to, like a Zentangle in progress. But this one, since we last spoke, which I mean was, you know, weeks ago, like I don't know how many, 6, 7? I don't know. I started and finished this, and the reason is, as I went to start a new opus tile, I was a bit frustrated with having to, I just got distracted by a cat, with having to do it under magnification, like I do my stitching, like I do my Zentangle, and I was thinking, oh, remember 13 years ago when I started Zentangle, I didn't need to use magnifying glass, and then I just had a brainwave where I went, Margaret, you don't have to use a magnifying glass, just do it bigger. There are no rules in Zentangle either. I could do one big motif on there if I wanted, one big, like it doesn't have to be this intricate, small, detailed thing which I tend to lean towards and make it. So this one was an experiment of going bigger. I didn't use magnification and I just tried to make myself go bigger. Like an example is in this spot here where I've left open space. That's good to leave open space. My instinct is often to fill that with a different tangle to get more texture underneath. But that's how it gets finer and finer and finer, and I do start to need magnification. So I sort of made myself leave spaces, and this one is quite a big spacious tangle as well. I still managed to get, you know, some finer work in some of the areas, but yeah, in the middle of that motif I went pretty fine. But I guess I got my eyes in without relying on the magnifier. So this is one that I've finished, and since then, because I'm doing it, because I'm trying to focus on larger tangling, it doesn't take as long either. So I've also got another one that I've started, and this one's in progress. I haven't finished this one yet. This one's on a Renaissance tile as opposed to the white opus tile that I just showed you. And again, sort of, yeah, trying to use bigger motifs, not get so intricate. And I remind myself, and I can if I want. If I want, I can get the magnifier out and go real small. But I'm trying not to. So that's my Zentangle update for this time. This one's in progress. We'll see where it's at next time. And with that, let's get to my whips, because I've got some really good progress on my works in progress. So let me show you. I've got them all next to me in random order. So we'll just see what comes up. And the first one is, this is Floral Boho Girl. That's what it's going to look like when she's finished. She is by Laser Arts Design on Etsy, and I am stitching her on a 28 count Spring Watercolours by Fabric Flair, and here she is. And so since last time, I've been focusing all down on her shoulder. Everything below the neck has been these last few weeks. And I think she's looking lovely. She's very enjoyable to stitch. Fabric's lovely, using all DMCs, the colours are lovely. And it's enjoyable to stitch because you can see it's so multicoloured, because there's this effect on her skin of, I don't know, boho-ness. And so, you know, right in the middle of skin, where should be just shoulder, there's purple and all sorts of colours. And it's quite enjoyable because you have to turn your brain off and just go, oh, I don't know. It's chart says to stitch it there, so stitch it there. So I am 43% done, so nearly halfway. She's got a lot to be going on up in her hair. Lots of feathers and flowers, so it'll be fun to get to that part as well. I'm glad I got her face in early. It helps me enjoy what I'm stitching, enjoy looking at what I'm stitching while I'm stitching it. Okay, next we have an old project that I bought out of my finished pile. I hadn't fully finished it yet by framing it. So this was about a year ago. Okay. I showed the pattern Little Garden by Carolyn Manning, and I never got around to framing it. And the other day, a couple of weeks ago, I looked at it and I realized why. When I was stitching it, I was quite motivated to do some beading on it. I thought it would look really great. But then when I was finished it, back in the day of monogamous stitching, I was kind of done with it. I was like, that's finished. It doesn't need beading. That felt too extra. It sort of didn't feel like it needed it once I'd finished it. So I put it away waiting to frame it one day, and the other day I got it out and thought, no, I was right. I need to bead this. So I have. So this is Little Garden by Carolyn Manning, now with a beaded border. And I just did, there we go, that's sort of showing it better, I think. I just did a double border. Oh, except it's not, I still can't call this a finish because yeah, I was showing it. See at the top there? Yeah, that's how many beads I was short. So I've got to go and buy some more just to finish that, like, you know, 20 more beads or something. And you know what? I am much more happy with this now that it's beaded. I think, look, we shouldn't think too much. My brain gets a little bit too active on things like this. Looking at this on the phone, as I'm recording it now on a smaller screen, absolutely love it. Sometimes when I'm looking at it on real life, I don't like the fabric choice for it. I think it's a bit dull. And in real life too, the oranges appear more dominant than the pinks, and I like the pinks more, and so I can get a little bit, I don't love that as much, so I thought, I don't know if I want to hang that up. But now that I've given it a more dominant border, I actually like it again. So now it gets to go, after I finish the top beading, it gets to go back in the finishing pile to await fully finishing. So we'll see if it actually gets fully finished or whether I find something else to do with it. I actually did start beading on the inside of the pattern as well, right in the middle. I did some beading there, and actually that didn't look right. It was a little bit like, it took away from the border is dominant now, and as soon as there were beads in the middle, it just started to look chaotic more than intentional. So yeah, that is a surprise reappearance by Little Garden by Carolyn Manning on 32 count linen. Oh, next we have a project that I started last time. It is my Dimensions kit, Profusion of butterflies, and I've just made a small start on that because it's a Dimensions kit. And I say that because what I mean by that is not only are there multiple stranded threads, 1, 2, 3 different strands, but also there's blending filament to be stitched over the top. So ultimately, I don't know if that's going to show the blending filament in there. Just move it around in your face a little bit, see what you can see. But it means you're effectively cross-stitching twice over the same stitches, once with the colour and then with the blending filament afterwards. And I did sort of experiment with just blending the threads with the filament and doing it, but I agree with their instructions. It actually doesn't sparkle as much that way, so I don't do it like they say. So it's just a little bit slower. But anyway, there's my nearly first butterfly on Profusion of butterflies. Funnily enough, I don't know why, but I don't have, this is a slow project. For some reason, I don't care how long this takes, or it's not a focus piece. See, the funny thing is though, I was asked by a friend, like how I rotate my pieces. Now that I've got multiple pieces, how am I doing that? And in the most boring answer, like I've just got each piece in their project bag. Have I got my project bags here? Yes, I do, hold on. So I just have my project bags literally stacked like this, sitting up in a shelf, and they just stay in that order. And every day I just grab the next bag. And so I'm getting to all of my projects in order. I don't prioritize any over the other. It's just that, you know, I might pick up butterflies today and I might not have as much stitching time today. So where the project lands on a day, it gets what it gets, kind of thing. Like if I've got lots of time, then that project gets a lot of time that day. And if I don't, it doesn't. And I've noticed this one's not getting much time and I don't care. I mean, I like it and I want it to be finished, but yeah, I don't know. That's just that. Whereas some of the others I feel impatient with. I want them to come along. Okay, so for instance, this next one, Tall Birds, I want it to come along. And that's how it's going to look when it's finished. And at the moment, I have been stitching on the middle bird. Actually, I love this. I do love this. And this is where I'm at. Just got the rest of the middle to fill out. It's nice block stitching. And as much as I have it in Markup RXP, I'm actually not using a grid to mark off the stitches. I'm just looking at it. Because this is so much block stitching, I don't need to mark it off. I can just look at it on Markup RXP and just go, okay, now I've got to do a column, you know, 10 stitches wide up to there of blue, and then I've got to, you know, it's sort of very easy just to do by eyeballing. So that's my progress. I'm nearly a third of the way there. I'm stitching this on what is my favorite actually. It's a 32 count even weave. So soft and lovely, and the color is so lovely. I've stitched so many things on this now that there's going to be a little bit of a fabric theme in my gallery of finished cross stitches once I'm done. But anyway, that's where I'm at with Tall Birds, which I saw on Rachel the Nutmeg Stitches channel. She was my enabler on that one. Thank you, Rachel. Okay, next for my whale hello there Sal for Stitching with Charlie. This pattern is imaginatively called Whale. It is by Stitch Is My Therapy on Etsy. And I'm stitching this on 16 count Navy Ada. And this is it so far. And this is proving to be two things. Very satisfying for me to look at. I absolutely love the finished, how it's coming out. I love looking at it when I'm finished. God, I do not love stitching it. What is it about 16 count Navy Ada? It is not a pleasant experience. I have washed this a lot to try to get it softer. It's not that it's not soft, it's just, and I think it's doing a lot of white and light colors. Like, as a lot of us know, white stitching is not very satisfying for how your stitches look. And because I'm doing this under magnification, I'm looking at it mostly, and the fabric seems, it's not shredding the DMC, but it feels like it is. And I don't know. It's not the funnest to stitch, but I like it so much that I stitch on. So I'm only 8% done of this guy. Well, hello there. So I am loving that project as much as I'm not, you know? Okay, I'm very close to a finish on this one. This is my next kit. This is my RTO kit of my little Charlie cat. And I'm very close to a finish on this guy. Look. He's just missing an ear and all the back stitching. So, you know, back stitching is a bit deceiving as to how close to a finish I am. There's a lot of back stitching on this, which I think will be good. But yeah, there's my sleeping Charlie. Charlie is sleeping at the moment, but look, Charlie's been in the bad books because she's been a rat bag at night time and not sleeping, but sleeping in the day, and howling in the corridor at night and in the bathroom, and there've been broken nights, I can tell you. So it's kind of funny that I'm doing, you know, a resemblance of Charlie sleeping but not sleeping, because that is true. She was good last night, I'm happy to say. Otherwise, I don't know if I'd be here. I think when I woke up in the morning, I would have just gone, no, I am not doing a Flosstube this morning because I've had 4 hours broken sleep. But yeah, she was good last night, so she's in my good books again. That's Charlie. God love her. Oh, next we have my Angel of Condolence and Remembrance. But here's what she's going to look like. And here is where I'm at. So, not much to say about that other than I got some good block stitching there done in the middle. It is satisfying watching the negative space come out of the angel's wings. So, how many percent am I? I'm only 10%. And that's okay. See, I do love her. Oh, I'm really enjoying this. I said this last time too. This is my other kit from, I think it's Show Crafts, my tulip pillow. It's going to look like that. And I'm about 1/6 of the way there because I've just worked on one of those petals, the corner one. And this is a delight to stitch. What I don't understand is this is Ada as well. It's soft and delightful to stitch on. So we know this. All Ada is not Ada, but this is really, gosh, I'm enjoying this project. It feels so lovely. The colours are lovely. The blends are lovely. Thank you, Julep Cushion. I'm about, like I said, about 1/6 of the way there. That's one petal. Right. Oh, another new kit from last time. This is my Feline Love, my Dimensions kit. I was in, Karen, the Stitching Owl, was my enabler on this one, or her daughter was, I believe. And this is where I'm at. And look, also, shout out to Dimensions, they're really good. The texture that is coming through in this and the effects from a lot of tent stitching and blends, and I just think it does such a good job. So this one's very satisfying. I think what I'm going to do though, exactly the opposite of what I said about my Floral Boho Girl, I think I'm going to save the reward till last with this one. I think I'm going to continue stitching sort of either around here, up around here, because the kittens are here. So the kittens are what I'd be doing next. And I think I'm going to save those as my reward. Because otherwise it sort of feels like, oh, I'm doing all this part now, and then I'll just have like wall and frame and a few, I think I better get those done, get those out of the way. Maybe. Anyway, I love this. I love this, I love this. Right, Blue Tobacco. This is my Sampler 148. And for those of you who are new, this is a piece of fabric that I bought years ago, before I was even cross-stitching, when I was just exploring needlework, and I didn't know what I was going to do with this fabric, and it has sat and sat and sat. And so then last year, or this year, at some point I decided I'm going to pick a project specifically for that fabric. So this is what Sampler 148 is going to look like. It is by 2x2 Stitch Art on Etsy. And so this is where I'm up to. Hold on, let me get the right way up. Okay. So I have completed that inner border, and now I am about to start all of this filigree leaf detail all in here. It's about to get much more detailed, much more dense in its detail outside of those, but just doing it in the one colour, DMC 979. Let's see if I get that right. Editing me will check that and see. And so yeah, this is the tobacco fabric and my sampler. And I tell you, this under the magnifying glass as I'm stitching it is a delight. That blue just has the most beautiful sheen under the light as I'm stitching it. And you know, in the nerge hoop, the fabric's all taut and the blue's really shiny, and it's very, very lovely to stitch on. So I'm still only, that can't be right. Yeah, that would be right. I'm only 17% complete on this. Because it does get very dense now. Still loving that. Oh gosh, we're nearly, oh my boys, we're up to my boys. Everybody, it's BTS time. It's always BTS time. I say again, I have been following their national tour like other people are following the FIFA World Cup at the moment. I would follow that, but I've got a BTS World Tour to follow and that's taking all my time. Okay, my 7 boys. This is half the faces of each boy. We don't want to give them a full face. So this is the finished, and as you all know from previous lessons, we have RM finished, we have Jin finished, and now I'm halfway finished with Yoongi, or Sugar. I was hoping to get more done on him. I did actually have a really good stitchy day. There was the day that this one came up in rotation, I had nothing, no commitments that day whatsoever. And I thought, oh, how much of this can I get done today? And I sort of got from the top of his lips right up to everything above that. So that was a very satisfying day, but I would like to see his eyes now. But yeah, still. Thank you, BTS. My last whip to show you is a new start. And this new start is a complete rip-off from Stitching with Charlie. Thank you, Charlie. She stitched this about a year ago now. I saw it in her, anyway, she stitched this, I saw it, I loved it, but it just took me a while to get around to getting the magazine that she got it from. Okay, this is called Happy Houses, and it's a series of little building designs that are designed for cards, and it came from the Cross Stitch Favourites magazine, the Cards issue 2024, that's what it was called. And Charlie took 4 of these blocks and stitched them next to each other, and it is the cutest, happiest little project, and I've always been meaning to do it. And so when I finished my Biscornu, I went, a finish, a new start. And so I have just done a tiny little start on that. That's my first little house block. It's going to be 4 along there, and that first one is this little one. So I'm starting with that. And so I'm very happy with that. Thank you, Charlie, for your lovely design idea of doing these, because I think it's beautiful. Oh, next, okay, that's it. That's my works in progress. That's my finishes, that's my works in progress. Yay. I do want to talk to you about the books that I've been listening to since we spoke last time, because again, I've had a cracker of a month plus in reading books. And I have some shout outs and I have some photography to talk about. Okay, I'm just reminding myself out loud. Okay, so books. The first one I read since we saw each other last time is called Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And this was a recommendation by Lucy at Stitch to My Lou, Flosstube. It was a bit like a spiritual experience reading this book. I think it is one of the most beautiful books I have ever read. It was so lovely. Robin Wall Kimmerer is an Indigenous American who is also a doctor of botany. And so she writes all about, she brings together her Indigenous wisdom of plants and her scientific wisdom of plants, and talks about life and the world and nature and our interaction with it. And one of the key themes of the book that she talks about that I just think is so refreshing is we hear so much about how damaging humanity is for nature, how much damage we do, and that is undoubtedly true. But her focus in this book is to focus on the symbiotic relationship between humans and nature, in that we are nature as well, and what a relationship it is, and how good we are for each other, and how we do have this great role to play together. It is, the bonus is Robin Wall Kimmerer also has the most beautiful voice to listen to. So soothing. I mean, sitting and cross-stitching while listening to this beautiful subject told from a beautiful voice. They were some of the loveliest hours I've spent. This is a beautiful book. Very touching. In fact, it then caused me a bit of whiplash going on to my next book, because the next book I read was March by Geraldine Brooks. And this is one I'd been meaning to get to for years. I think it was published in 2008 or something. And so in the book Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, the father is away fighting in the Civil War. And the book focuses on the women, which is so lovely for a change, for a male not to be the central character, right? So how funny, how ironic that then Geraldine Brooks decides, no, let's go and focus on that male character. What was he doing over there? And she writes a book about Mr. March and what he's doing in his war service. So going from Indigenous wisdom and to set in the southern states on a plantation during the Civil War is quite hard to listen to. And actually at a point I almost thought there's a description of, there's quite a brutal scene of slave abuse towards the beginning of the book, and I just thought, oh, I don't think I can do this after having just listening to the beauty that was Braiding Sweetgrass. This is just so confronting. But I just skipped forward that scene a little bit and I stayed with it, and I'm so glad I did, because it was actually a very good book. It was so well written. The characters are so good. It got me in. It just completely got me in. He was a fascinating character. Yeah, I don't know. It was really good, and it really, in a way, it does. Little Women didn't need completing, I don't think, and yet this kind of completes the story. It does give that whole opposite side. The male experience during wartime, the female experience during wartime, two very different things. So anyway, I really enjoyed that. Okay, next, another complete whiplash. Holy moly. I have never read any books before by T.J. Klune, and one had been recommended to me, The House in the Cerulean Sea. And I couldn't remember who recommended it or why it was on my list, but it was available to borrow and listen to. So I started listening to that, and oh my goodness. Again, I nearly gave up on this book. The first couple of hours is very foundational, very, very building to what's coming, but it sort of feels like, oh yes, I don't know. The setup is really important, but I wasn't enjoying the setup very much. Oh my God, I am so glad I stuck with this book, because not only did I finish it and was completely immersed in it, but I found out there's a sequel. This is a series of books, and I went and got it straight away. It's called Somewhere Beyond the Sea, and I read that, listened to that as well. These books are beautiful and hilarious. I mean, they are funny. It is about magical children. And the magical children characters are so funny, so clever, so beautifully written, so worth reading. I laughed out loud so many times throughout this. And the adult characters who are looking after them are very endearing and very beautiful. This series is a delight, and I now have lots more TJ Klune on my list. When I was thinking about giving it up, I just thought, oh, I'm just going to go and read a few more details about the book. And when it said this is a queer story, I went, oh, my daughter must have recommended this to me. So I went to Jillian and said, did you recommend this book? Because I'm struggling with it. And she said, no, it was her best friend Freya. And she said, no, Freya did. And I just said, can you tell her I'm struggling with it? And Freya just said, stay with it, stay with it. And I'm so glad I did. Really, really good. Okay, and then I was so pleased about this. This other book then became available that I'd been wanting to read. And as you know from my last videos, Niall Williams, the Irish author, is just my newfound favourite author. And another book of his became available to read, and it's called Time of the Child. And when I started reading it, I was a bit confused because the beginning is very similar to This Is Happiness. It's set in the same place, it starts in the same location. I'm like, hang on, what's going on here? And I just didn't realise that he's got a series of books set in Faha, the country village in Ireland of Faha. And each book takes different characters and focuses on them for the story. And so this one, Time of the Child, focuses on the doctor in the village and his family, and also the family that was his interaction with the family that was the focus of This Is Happiness. Just 100 out of 10. You know, these books, they are a delight. The writing is impeccable. The sense of place and characters that you get from these books is just perfection. And so I got to read Time of the Child and was very happy. Next time. So that's my book listening that's been happening this time. It's been really good. No duds. No duds. Sometimes if there are duds in there. Oh, I do have one more to tell you about. That's right. Oh, this wasn't an audiobook. I actually read the book of this one, and it was Yesteryear by Caro Claire Burke. I freaking loved this. I was prepared not to love it. First, when I couldn't get it on audiobook, I was like, well, I'm not interested because I can't stitch at the same time. But it came available to me in ebook in the library app, and I read the first page, prepared to just read the first page and then send it back, because it's about a trad wife in America who becomes an influencer. But then one day she wakes up and it is actually, I think, 1886 or 1846 or something. And so it's like, how is it really living in pioneer times to being an influencer in modern day, making everything look like pioneer times? And I felt a bit cynical about this to start with. I thought, oh, it's very easy to beat up on influencers and to be a bit morally superior to social media. And I thought that's how the book was going to be. So I was quite prepared not to read it and send it back. Oh, I devoured this book. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very, very good and very unexpected. And this whole thing of like, how has she ended up waking up in the 1800s is a query through the whole book. You're like, but how has this happened? What? And the outcome of that, I really enjoyed. I think it's quite a divisive thing. I don't know that everybody would, but I really did. So I really enjoyed that book as well. Okay, I've got some shout outs now, some Flosstubers shout outs, and one of them is going to lead me to talking about photography, which I'm going to talk about next after this. Okay, but first I want to just give a warm Flosstube welcome to our new best friend, Eliska, from Czech Made in Cornwall. And again, I'm highly influenced by anything Charlie from Stitching with Charlie says, because she recommended Eliska. And it was the way she talked about Eliska, said like her stitching is fantastic. It is. But you'll also be laughing along with Eliska because she's an absolute classic. She's hilarious. And I just went, oh, well, I want to check her out. And I had the exact same experience. And we've since been messaging each other in our comments, and just we're best friends now. And yes, okay, so I'll come back to that in a minute, but go, if you haven't already, go and meet Eliska. I'm sure you have. I'm sure everybody has. I just think she'll be known to the community very quickly, but I loved her. All of my shout outs today are from the UK, and this is Amy from All Things Cross Stitch, and she's where Aliska is in Cornwall, Amy is in Lincolnshire, and what a sunbeam of joy Amy is to watch. An absolute delight. Her stitching is gorgeous. She's very sweet. She calls herself a child stitcher because she picks little whimsical projects and things that make her happy. And she said that's not grown-up stitching, which I hope she's saying very tongue-in-cheek, because of course it is, but I get what she's saying as well. But Amy is just the real deal. She's very honest about all sorts of things, from mental illness to just juggling life, to stitching, to having OCD, to all sorts of things. But she is also a beautiful person, and I love watching Amy's channel. So hello Amy, shout out to you. Everybody go watch All Things Cross Stitch. And the last one is Sharon. Sharon at Sharon_Stitch_Doodle in Scotland. Sharon's been YouTubing for a while, but I only came across her in the last couple of months and just really enjoy her channel, her stitching. She does her own designs and has her own Etsy shop in which she sells her own designs, but she stitches all sorts of other things as well. She did a Letty Stitch, like unpackaging of a box of Letty Stitch, like she bought a surprise box from them or something. Fabulous projects that she shows. It was really, really good, and she's just lovely to listen to, very down to earth. Really enjoy Sharon, Amy and Aliska from the UK. Thank you UK, bringing it. Now, when one of the things I love in Aliska's, when she was talking about living in Cornwall, she's from Czech Republic, but she's been living in Cornwall for about 22 years, I think she said. And so she was just talking about things in Cornwall, like she lives in an old Cornwall house. Now, I went to Cornwall in 1999, which is now such a long time ago, but I remember the feel of the place. My sister and I, who went there together with a couple of girlfriends, we love Cornwall. We love the Poldark novels. We read all of them. We watched the series. They're very evocative of the place. And when you go to Cornwall, there's obviously still so much history there that it feels like you're in Poldark times. And so listening to Aliska's channel just made me think about all that and revisit Cornwall. And I was looking at it on the map and I was just thinking about what a beautiful place it was. At the same time, I was talking to my friend Lavender from Obsessively Stitching. She's on Instagram. She doesn't have a Flosstube yet. We're all trying to encourage her. We'll see if that ever happens, Lavender. And she lives in Islands of Seattle. And in talking to her, I also got an interest in those islands and was looking at the geography of that and just looking at the beautiful area that is, well, the Pacific Northwest of the States. God, there's some beautiful places in the world. And I always love it in Flosstubes when people present a bit of that. Barbara, the Seashore Stitcher, does that really well. She shows us a lot of the Virginia Beach. And I always love that. And I was thinking, well, Perth's a beautiful place too. I mean, I could be showing a bit more of that. I know there are probably other people like me that want to see a bit more of like the beautiful places where cross stitchers live. And I thought, well, it's a pity they won't get that from me because I'm just sitting in my stitching chair stitching. I'm not out in it. Like, I live in this moments from the beach, moments from beautiful places. Sorry, I've got a bit of stitching to do. And I just thought, oh, it's a pity I'm not out there exploring my world more. And then, bing, I just realised I'm sitting here on a gold mine because my husband, Matt, is a photographer. And his hobby is to just go and photograph the local environments. He doesn't go far, he just photographs the local environment. Everything from like landscape shots of beaches to macro photography of the local gardens. And he's been doing this for years. And I suddenly realised I've got thousands of photos of the local area sitting on my computer. And so I suddenly went, oh, new segment. Seeing the local area through the lens of my husband, Matt. Now, I'll just show you a few things because while he just does it as a hobby for himself, he did do it for a while as a profession with his other job. Okay, so Matt is an immunologist who is doing very excellent research into cytomegalovirus and the cure of that. Thank you, Matt. But his other world is all about cycling, and for a while he had a job with a major publication where he was reviewing bikes, and as part of that role he was a bike photographer. And so I loved seeing all his bike photography, and so through the years as presents he would just get books printed just for me. And so this is one of his bike photography books where he just, because he knew I liked them, he would just all of these are photos of different brand bikes in different locations in Perth. Honestly, I love everything that does. So, you know, he just makes things that he does so that I can enjoy them, right? So, that's his bike photography. But he then, even when he'd finished this job, he kept up his photography, and so he made me some more books of his landscape photography. And so this is just a selection of photos that he's taken, that he just picked out that he thought I would like. But like I said, now we've got thousands of them sitting on our hard drive. And oh, look at these ones. I love his beach ones. So they're my local beaches. 10 minutes down the road. And see, he's really good because our beaches have big open spaces, but he walks long distances to get to the rocky outcrops at the end of those long open beaches, and I don't do that. I don't walk that far. So I said to Matt, hey, can I start showing people Perth through your photography? And he said, yeah, yep. And I said, and so with that, I will leave you with some photos of the local Perth. I think for this one, I've picked photos of our coastline. I spent hours going through his photos, thinking about, like, I was going to be thematic and pick themes and and in the end, I was taking too long. And in the end, I went, no, just pick random photos that you like and just show them. And over the months, you'll get to see all different parts of Perth through his lens. So I will leave you with those now. They'll be playing at the end of my video. But before you see those, I want to say thank you for spending time with me, for looking at all of my creativity and being a supportive community as Flosstube is. You know. Okay. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. See you next time. You know, you all go now and do your stitching. Hopefully you've been stitching as you've been listening to me. But carry on. I'm going to go and enjoy all of my stitching. Until I see you next time, stay well. Bye.